All right, let's be real. You've been there. We've all been there. You sit down with the best intentions. Maybe you're about to study, work, or even just unwind with a book. But before you dive in, you decide to take a quick break. You pull out your phone, check one notification, maybe watch a reel or two, and then somehow you wake up from a digital trance an hour later, wondering where the time went. Your coffee is cold. Your to-do list is untouched. Your brain feels like mush. And worse, you don't even remember half the things you just consumed. It's like your brain hit autopilot while your thumb scrolled on its own, devouring random content, most of it meaningless. And this, my friend, is what I call brain rot. No, it's not some horrifying disease from a sci-fi novel. It's not an official diagnosis. But it is real. It's that creeping numbness in your mind after spending too much time consuming junk content. Short, flashy, fast-moving distractions that hijack your attention span and leave you feeling empty. It's when you've spent so long scrolling that reality feels distant, your focus feels fried, and your motivation has left the building. Let's pause for a second. How often do you feel like this? Think about it. When was the last time you sat in silence with your own thoughts without reaching for your phone? When was the last time you did something fully present without the urge to check a notification? I'll be honest with you, most of us are addicted. Not in a dramatic, life falling apart kind of way, but in a subtle, creeping, everyday way. The kind that makes us feel busy but unfulfilled. The kind that tricks us into thinking we're entertained while quietly stealing our ability to sit still, focus, or think deeply. The scary part? Most people don't even realize it's happening. We're living in an era where information is fire hosed at us nonstop. Every app is competing for our attention. Every platform is designed to keep us hooked. And while we think we're just browsing, we're actually being trained. Trained to crave quick dopamine hits. Trained to seek instant gratification. Trained to let distractions dictate our time. And here's the real question. Are you controlling your technology or is it controlling you? Because right now, a lot of us aren't in control. We think we are, but we're not. We pick up our phones without thinking. We scroll for hours and call it relaxation. We let notifications dictate our focus, and we convince ourselves it's normal. But deep down, we feel it. We feel the mental exhaustion, the loss of focus, the way our attention span has shrunk. We feel how hard it is to just sit down and do something without the itch to check our phones. And that's not normal. That's brain rot. But here's the good news. You can break free from it. You don't have to be a slave to the scroll. You don't have to let technology own your time. You don't have to keep waking up from these digital blackouts wondering where your energy and focus went. It starts with awareness. It starts with realizing that your time, your attention, is the most valuable thing you have. And if you don't guard it, the world will take it from you. So let's dig deeper. Let's break down exactly how brain rot happens, why it's so dangerous, and most importantly, how you can outsmart it. Because trust me, once you reclaim your focus, once you learn to own your attention instead of letting it be hijacked, everything in your life changes. You ready? Let's go. All right, let's talk about why it's so damn hard to put our phones down. It's not just you, it's not just a lack of willpower. It's by design. Social media, entertainment apps, even news platforms, they aren't just providing content. They're engineering addiction. They know exactly how to hijack your brain chemistry, how to keep you scrolling, how to make sure you never quite feel done with whatever you're watching. And if you've ever wondered, why do I keep falling into this trap? Well, my friend, welcome to the hook effect. Let me introduce you to your brain's favorite chemical, dopamine. Dopamine is the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's what makes food taste amazing, what makes winning a game so satisfying, what gives you that rush when someone compliments you. It's basically your brain's way of saying, hey, that felt great, let's do it again. And guess what? Social media is a dopamine factory. Every like, every comment, every notification, every new post refresh. It's all engineered to give you tiny, unpredictable dopamine hits, just enough to keep you coming back. Ever heard of the slot machine effect? That's exactly how social media works. When you pull the lever on a slot machine, you don't know what you're going to get. Maybe a jackpot, maybe nothing. That randomness is what makes it so addictive. Now, think about Instagram or TikTok. You open the app. Maybe there's a funny meme waiting for you. Maybe someone replied to your story. Maybe there's a notification. You don't know. You scroll. Maybe the next post is interesting. Maybe the next video is even better. This unpredictability is what keeps you hooked. It's not just the content, it's the anticipation of the reward. And over time, something even scarier happens. You build tolerance. The first time you got 50 likes on a post, it probably felt amazing. But now? It's just 50 likes. You need more to feel the same high. You start chasing engagement, scrolling longer, watching more. The bar keeps rising, and you don't even realize you're in a loop. And the worst part? Withdrawal. Try putting your phone away for a few hours. If you start feeling restless, reaching for it without thinking, or getting hit with that weird, anxious itch to just check something, that's withdrawal, my friend. Just like any addiction, your brain has gotten used to those constant dopamine hits, and now it craves them. This is why quitting or reducing screen time feels harder than it should be, because your brain has been trained to expect constant stimulation. But here's the thing. Dopamine addiction isn't just about wasting time. It's about what you're losing. You're trading long-term fulfillment for cheap, short-term pleasure. And the more you chase quick dopamine hits, the harder it becomes to enjoy the deeper, more meaningful things in life, like reading, deep conversations, creative work, or even just sitting in silence without feeling restless. That's the real cost of brain rot. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves. I'm just taking a break. We convince ourselves that checking our phones is a small distraction. Just 5 minutes, just one video, just one reply. But 5 minutes becomes 15. 15 becomes an hour, and before you know it, half the day is gone. Why does this happen? Because our brains suck at context switching. Every time you shift from one task to another, your brain needs time to reset and refocus. Research says it takes about 20 minutes to regain deep focus after a distraction. So every time you pick up your phone while working or studying, you're resetting that timer. You think you're multitasking? Nah, you're multi-failing. Studies have shown that switching between apps and tasks actually lowers cognitive efficiency and increases mental fatigue. You're not doing more. You're just wearing yourself out faster. It's why after a whole day of being busy on your phone, you don't feel accomplished. You just feel drained. Your brain has been processing junk data all day, bouncing between half-finished thoughts, fragmented information, and useless distractions. And the worst part? This cycle creates decision fatigue. Your brain can only make so many good decisions in a day. Every time you decide, should I keep scrolling or should I stop? You're burning mental energy. And by the time you need to make important choices, your willpower is gone. That's why after a day of mindless scrolling, you feel too tired to exercise, too lazy to cook, too unmotivated to do anything productive. You've already drained your brain on meaningless decisions. Social media isn't just wasting your time. It's stealing your energy. Now let's get to the real villain in this story. Big tech. We like to think we're just using social media. But the truth? Social media is using us. Here's something wild. You are not the customer. You are the product. Social media companies don't make money from you. They make money by selling your attention to advertisers. Every second you spend scrolling equals more data collected on you, equals more ads shown to you, equals more profit for them. That's why platforms are designed to keep you engaged at all costs. The infinite scroll? Created to eliminate stopping points so you never feel like you've finished consuming content. The autoplay feature? Designed to keep feeding you videos before you can decide to stop. The notification system? Engineered to trigger FOMO, fear of missing out, so you feel compelled to check back constantly. They are literally weaponizing psychology against you. And the consequences? Reduced attention span. Ever struggle to read a full article without checking your phone? That's not just you, that's the damage done. Inability to engage in deep work. You can't focus for long periods because your brain is trained to seek constant stimulation. Emotional desensitization. seeing endless, shocking, sad, or outrageous content daily, you eventually stop feeling anything deeply. This is what I mean when I say brain rot is real. The more you let social media hijack your mind, the harder it becomes to engage in the things that actually matter. Big tech is winning this war, but you don't have to let them. Look, I'm not saying you should throw your phone into the ocean and go live in a cave. I'm saying wake up. Be aware of how these platforms manipulate you. Be mindful of when and how you consume content. Be intentional with your focus and attention. Because at the end of the day, your mind is the most powerful thing you own. And if you don't control it, someone else will. The question is, are you willing to fight for it? Because the war for your attention is happening right now. And you, my friend, need to be the one who wins. Let's get real for a second. We talk a lot about how social media and endless scrolling waste our time. But the real tragedy? It's wasting our minds. We're not just losing hours to brain rot. We're losing something way bigger. Our ability to think deeply, to feel deeply, and to live fully. And the scariest part? Most people don't even realize it's happening. Tell me, when was the last time you sat with a single thought for more than 5 minutes? No distractions, no phone, no notifications pulling you in every direction. Hard to remember, right? That's not an accident. The internet is rewiring our brains, and not in a good way. Before the digital age, people thought deeply. Philosophers spent years contemplating a single idea. Scientists devoted their lives to solving one question. Writers crafted entire books without the temptation to check TikTok between paragraphs. Now, most of us struggle to read a full article without checking our phones. It's because the way we consume information has changed. Everything is bite-sized, fast, and easy to digest. We've trained our brains to skim, to jump from one thing to another, to never sit still with a thought long enough to actually understand it. And that's dangerous, because deep thinking is where real wisdom comes from. It's where creativity is born. It's how the greatest ideas in history came to life. Imagine if Einstein had Twitter. Imagine if Socrates spent his days scrolling through memes instead of questioning reality. You think we'd have the theory of relativity? Or the Socratic method? Hell no. Because deep thought requires silence, focus, and patience. 3 things the internet is making extinct. And the worst part? The less we engage in deep thinking, the harder it becomes. Your brain is like a muscle. If you don't train it to focus, if you don't push it to think deeply, it starts to atrophy. You become someone who can only handle surface-level ideas. Someone who reads the headline but never the article. Someone who watches a 30-second summary instead of understanding the full picture. And before you know it, you're not thinking at all. You're just consuming, passively, mindlessly. And that, my friend, is exactly what big tech wants. But let's go even deeper, because brain rot isn't just making us dumber, it's making us miserable. Let's talk about social comparison. You ever scroll through Instagram and suddenly feel like your life sucks? You see someone on a beach in Bali while you're sitting in your messy room. You see people in perfect relationships while you're eating dinner alone. You see someone's dream job while you're stuck in the same boring routine. And even though you know, deep down, that social media is fake, that people only post their highlights, not their struggles, you still feel that sting of inadequacy because your brain isn't built for this. Back in the day, we compared ourselves to the people around us, our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, and that was manageable. But now, you're comparing yourself to millions of people, the richest, the most beautiful, the most successful, the most interesting. And no matter how good your life is, there's always someone who looks like they have it better. This is why studies show that the more time you spend on social media, the worse you feel. Higher rates of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, because you're stuck in a loop of endless comparison, chasing a version of happiness that isn't even real. And what about relationships? We think we're connected because we can message anyone, anytime. But let's be honest, are you really connected? And when was the last time you had a deep, uninterrupted conversation with a friend? When was the last time you actually listened instead of half listening while scrolling through your phone? Social media makes us feel social, but in reality, we're lonelier than ever. Because digital interaction isn't real interaction. A like isn't a hug. A comment isn't a conversation. A DM isn't the same as sitting across from someone and feeling their presence. We're replacing real-life connection with shallow digital substitutes and wondering why we feel empty. And if all of that wasn't enough, let's talk about how brain rot is physically draining the life out of us. Ever feel exhausted after a full day of doing absolutely nothing? That's the overstimulation paradox. Your brain is constantly processing information, even if you're just scrolling. Every video, every post, every meme, it's data. And your brain is burning energy trying to keep up. It's like running a marathon while sitting still. And don't even get me started on sleep. You know that blue light from your phone? It tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. That means your body doesn't produce melatonin properly, the hormone that makes you sleepy. So you stay up later. You sleep worse. And when you wake up, you're groggy, unfocused, and guess what? Reaching for your phone first thing in the morning. And that's how the cycle continues. Chronic procrastination, mental fatigue, the feeling that you're always busy but never actually getting anything done. Brain rot isn't just a mental problem, it's a whole body problem. Your energy, your motivation, your ability to focus, your ability to be present, it's all getting drained bit by bit, post by post, video by video. And the craziest part? Most people never realize it's happening. They just wake up one day feeling dull, sluggish, uninspired, and they think that's just life. But it's not. It's the cost of overstimulation, the cost of living in a world that never lets your brain rest. Look, I'm not saying we need to abandon technology and go live in the mountains, although, let's be honest, sometimes that sounds tempting. But what I am saying is this: if you don't take control of your mind, someone else will. If you don't train your brain to think deeply, to be still, to engage with the world beyond a screen, you're going to lose those abilities. And once they're gone, they're really hard to get back. So here's my challenge to you. Be mindful of how much you consume versus how much you create. Be intentional about the time you spend online, because your attention is your most valuable resource. Be aware of how these platforms manipulate you and fight back by taking control of your own mind. Because in a world full of distractions, the ability to focus, to think, and to truly connect is the ultimate superpower. And, my friend, you deserve that superpower. The question is, are you willing to fight for it? All right, we've talked about the problem. We've broken down how digital distractions hijack our focus, drain our energy, and leave us feeling mentally fried. But now it's time to fight back. Because here's the truth. Your brain is yours to control. Yes, social media is engineered to be addictive. Yes, big tech wants to keep you scrolling. Yes, the modern world is making deep thinking harder. But you're not powerless. You don't have to be another person trapped in the endless scroll. And the way you escape? You take back control of your attention. Let's get into it. First things first, you have to break the cycle. You can't expect to reclaim your focus while still living in a constant state of overstimulation. So let's start with a digital detox blueprint. No, I'm not saying you need to quit the internet forever and live like a medieval monk. Unless you want to, in which case, respect. I'm talking about setting boundaries with purpose. Here's what that looks like. Be ruthless with your screen time. Your phone should be a tool, not a leash, so take control. Set app limits. Use built-in tools like Screen Time or an iPhone or Digital Wellbeing, Android, to cap your daily usage on social media. Use grayscale mode. This makes your phone less visually stimulating and kills the dopamine trigger from bright colors. Delete the worst offenders. If an app is sucking up hours of your life and giving you nothing in return, delete it. Your future self will thank you. Be ruthless with your screen time. Your phone should be a tool, not a leash, so take control. Set app limits. Use built-in tools like Screen Time, iPhone, or Digital Wellbeing, Android, to to cap your daily usage on social media. Use grayscale mode. This makes your phone less visually stimulating and kills the dopamine trigger from bright colors. Delete the worst offenders. If an app is sucking up hours of your life and giving you nothing in return, delete it. Your future self will thank you. Build screen-free rituals. Want to break the addiction? Start and end your day without screens. Morning rule: no phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day. Instead, stretch, journal, drink coffee in silence. Whatever sets a calm tone for the day. Night rule: no screens at least an hour before bed. Read a book. Listen to music. Give your brain space to wind down. These small habits create mental separation between you and the digital world. Make boredom your friend. You know that uncomfortable feeling when you have nothing to do? Sit with it. Your brain isn't meant to be stimulated 24/7. Letting yourself be bored is what sparks creativity, deep thinking, and introspection. Instead of reaching for your phone, try taking a walk without music or podcasts. Just sitting still for 5 minutes and letting your mind wander. Daydreaming like you used to as a kid? Boredom is where real ideas are born. Don't run from it. Embrace it. Once you've broken the constant dopamine loop, the next step is training your brain to focus again. Because, let's be honest, most of us have lost that ability. The second something gets too hard or too boring, we check our phones. That stops now. The deep work philosophy: if you want to reclaim your mind, you need deep work, a term coined by Cal Newport. It means focusing without distraction for long periods of time. Deep work is how the best thinkers, artists, and scientists throughout history created their greatest work, and it's exactly what you need to sharpen your mind. Here's how to start. Set 90-minute focus blocks. Pick one task and go all in. No phone, no distractions. Train your brain with small wins. Start with 25-minute Pomodoro sessions and slowly increase your focus stamina. Create a distraction-free environment. Put your phone in another room. Use noise-canceling headphones. Do whatever it takes. Monotasking greater than multitasking. Multitasking is a lie. Every time you switch tasks, you lose momentum and focus. Instead, do one thing at a time. When you read, just read. When you eat, just eat. When you work, just work. Block distractions. If you're doing deep work, turn off notifications. Put your phone on airplane mode if you have to. Rebuilding focus is like training a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it. Read long-form content. You know what social media has destroyed? Our ability to sit with complex ideas. Want to fix that? Start reading again, not tweets, not TikTok captions, books, long articles, anything that forces your brain to engage. Reading isn't just about knowledge, it rebuilds attention span. It strengthens your ability to process deeper thoughts, follow complex arguments, and actually retain information. Make it a habit to read at least 10 to 20 minutes a day. No screens. Just a book or a well-written article. Because if you can't sit with long-form ideas, how do you expect to think deeply? All right, here's where we bring it all home. You can detox from screens, you can rebuild your focus, but if you don't replace digital distractions with real fulfillment, you'll just end up back where you started. So let's talk about what actually makes life rich. Social media tricks us into thinking we're social, but a like isn't a conversation. A comment isn't a deep connection. You need real human interaction. Call a friend instead of texting. Make plans to hang out in person, without your phones out. Actually listen when people talk to you. Deep conversations, laughter, storytelling, that's what actually fulfills us, not scrolling. When was the last time you did something just for fun? No screens, no algorithms. Just you and a passion. Pick up a hobby that engages your hands and your mind. Learn an instrument. Paint, draw, or write. Go hiking, play chess. Build something. Hobbies bring real joy. The kind that doesn't fade the second you put your phone down. Look, you don't always need to be doing something. Sometimes the best thing you can do is be present. Take walks without distractions. Meditate or practice deep breathing. Journal your thoughts without rushing, without posting them. The goal? Reconnect with yourself. Because when you step away from the digital noise, you start to hear your own voice again. And that voice, that's the one you need to listen to. Look, breaking free from brain rot isn't easy. It takes effort, it takes intention, it takes the willingness to fight for your own mind. But the payoff? You get your life back. You stop feeling mentally fried all the time. You regain your focus. You start thinking deeply again. You connect more, experience more, create more, and most importantly, you feel alive again. The world is still out there, beyond the screen. The real question is, are you ready to reclaim it? All right, my friend, let's take a deep breath and step back for a moment. We've gone on quite a journey here. We've talked about brain rot, how digital distractions hijack our focus, how endless scrolling is quietly rewiring our brains, and how big tech has turned our attention into a product they sell to the highest bidder. We've broken down how this affects not just our time, but our ability to think, feel, and connect. And now you have a choice. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself for a second. Think about the moments when you felt mentally exhausted from being online, when your brain felt scattered, your motivation disappeared, and even though you consumed hours of content, you didn't feel any better. You ever notice how social media rarely leaves you fulfilled? Sure, it gives you a temporary dopamine hit. It makes you laugh, distracts you, keeps you entertained. But at the end of the day, do you feel stronger, smarter, more connected, more alive? Or do you just feel drained? Because if we're being real, most of the time we leave these apps feeling worse, not better. And that should tell you something. Anything that consistently drains you without giving back is not something you need in your life at full capacity. So the question is, are you going to keep letting this happen? Are you going to stay stuck in this loop, letting technology control your mind, your time, your energy? Or are you going to take back control? Because make no mistake, this is a battle. And it's a battle for the most valuable thing you own, your attention. You've got two paths in front of you. Path number one, the passive consumer, opens their phone first thing in the morning, mindlessly scrolling before even getting out of bed. Gets sucked into digital black holes, losing hours to content that adds nothing to their life. Constantly distracted, unable to focus on real work, deep conversations, or personal growth. Feels mentally foggy, overstimulated, anxious, and drained. Watches life happen through a screen instead of actually living it. Or, path number two, the intentional creator uses technology with purpose instead of letting it use them. Guards their attention like it's sacred, because it is. Builds mental strength, trains focus, and prioritizes deep thinking. Chooses real relationships, real experiences, real fulfillment over digital distractions. Lives deliberately, fully, and freely. You already know which path leads to a richer, more meaningful life. The only question left is, which path are you going to take? Look, I get it. You're not going to go from screen addicted to monk-level focus overnight. That's not the goal. The goal is small, intentional steps. If you want to break free from brain rot, start with these. Take control of your mornings. Don't reach for your phone first thing. Give yourself at least 30 minutes of screen-free time before you plug into the digital world. Be mindful of your consumption. Ask yourself, is this content adding value to my life, or is it just numbing me? If it's just numbing you, it's time to cut back. Create more than you consume. Write, draw, build, play an instrument, cook, design, whatever makes you feel alive. Put energy into real creative pursuits. Reclaim your focus. Try the Pomodoro technique. Read long-form content. Train your brain to sit with deep ideas instead of constantly seeking quick hits of entertainment. Be present. When you're with people, be with them. Put your phone down. Engage. Listen. Make eye contact. Connect like a human, not an avatar. Let yourself be bored. Stop reaching for your phone every time you have a free moment. Let your mind wander. You'll be surprised at what happens when you let yourself think. Protect your nights. No screens an hour before bed. Give your brain time to slow down and process the day. These might seem like small steps, but trust me, they add up. Because every time you resist the urge to mindlessly scroll, every time you reclaim a moment of focus, every time you choose real life over digital noise, you're winning. You're building the kind of mental freedom that most people never achieve. Here's the thing, life isn't happening on your screen, it's happening right in front of you. The people you love, they're here. The work that actually matters, it's here. The experiences that will shape you, challenge you, fulfill you, they're all here. But if you spend your days buried in a screen, lost in an algorithm, numbing your mind with endless content, you're going to miss it. And one day you'll look up and realize that while you were watching other people's lives unfold online, you forgot to live your own. So don't let that happen. Put the phone down, step outside, look someone in the eye, let your mind wander, build something, feel something. Because this messy, unpredictable, beautiful, real world is where life actually happens. And you, my friend, you deserve to be fully awake for it.